I saw something new. Hello and welcome to Two Therapists and a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Aisha Dickerson.
Two Therapists and a Microphone is a podcast show about relationships, mental health, and social issues that personally affect you. We broadcast live every Monday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. on the Our Black Media Network.
In case you are not aware, Harrison and I are two licensed psychotherapists with decades of experience. We want to hear from you because we want you to get your information from people who know what they're talking about instead of all those Instagram and TikTok stars who think they know about mental health. So if you would like to ask your questions, you can go to our website, www.twotherapist.com, and click on Ask Two Therapists at the top of the page.
Absolutely. Talk to a professional.
Please.
Talk to somebody who's actually licensed and they are trained to help you and they're not grabbing things out of the air. But today is Monday, March the 27th, and we got some more bad news today about gun violence, and want to send out my condolences to the family members and the friends of the victims in Nashville. Where a woman went into a elementary school and shot people, killed 3 9-year-old kids and 3 staff members. One was the principal for the school. Just another indication of our violent society that we live, and some of us have to take that and deal with it, knowing that we have small children, who are in school, and only pray that they are being protected about that. Did you hear about that today?
I have not. So I just turned on the news maybe about 15 minutes before I came to the show. So I haven't had a chance to hear that. But I mean, it's devastating and it pisses me off.
Me too.
I'm going to say in my kids' school, not my oldest, but in our middle school, there's now this extra glass. So you can't just walk into the school.
Yep.
To check your kids out. You go and you have to push the button,
Yep.
say what you're there for, go through a door, do something on the computer, put your ID under a camera. So to confirm is that you're one of those people. You're one of the people, but you can't go into the school. Your kid has to come out, and when you come in, the police officer is always there, and they have multiple officers now. Just to protect the children. So I was there last week, and that was happening. And there was a woman who came in, and she was getting a little frustrated. Why do I have to do all this? And I was like, "Ma'am, chill."
Yeah.
Doing this so my kid can stay safe. So I don't know what you're talking about, but have a seat like the rest of us and wait for your kid to come out.
So now we have a record number of mass shootings for the first 3 months of the year.
We haven't even made it to April.
We haven't even made it to April. That is right. We've only completed mostly 3 months, and we have outpaced the last few years with that. So I just wanted to start out the show with that. And, you guys can check out some resources on the American Counseling Association website. I believe it is counseling.org. Mm-hmm. They have a special section on coping with gun violence. And I think it's a very good section for you to read, or at least find some local resources. As I had to talk to my daughter today, she came home and said that the police were at her school and more security officers, and the teachers were acting funny. And I said, "Do you hear what happened?" She said, "Yeah, they all have phones, middle school, and so they can look it all up."
So my kids can't. In Gwinnett County, they have something that's blocking all the internet now. Now they have these TikToks where the kids are showing what corners of the school you could get into so you can get on the internet. But yeah,
That's
now right
great.
now our kids don't even have access to the internet or anything coming through their phones right now.
Oh, that's great. That's a wonderful idea with that. So, moving along with the show, check out those resources at the American Counseling Association website. It's some very good information there to help you out. So today is Hot Topic show,
Yeah.
and I have a hot topic I want to start with. Change the tone just a little bit.
Okay.
So over the weekend, actor Jonathan Majors was arrested
Mm.
and charged with assault, and someone they're reporting as who they're identifying her as his girlfriend. They got into a physical altercation. She reported that he slapped her and choked her.
You know I'm gonna have to look up Jonathan Major's girlfriend.
So I don't know about her, but Jonathan Majors, he is a rising star. Some of you guys may have remember him from what was it, Lovecraft? Yeah,
Lovecraft Country. He
Yep.
was also on a lot of stuff recently. Like he was rising to the top.
Ant-Man and the
Yes.
Wasp. Yeah, and a movie about it was a war movie about air pilots. Devotion. Yeah, that's what
Okay.
it was. Yeah, so he's climbing his ladder. He had the little layout in the magazine. I forgot which magazine it was. Got a lot of notoriety. I think that was on purpose. So people could talk about him. And I just heard the news. I think it was Sunday morning. Said Jonathan Majors was arrested. What in the world? Choking her. This is the report. And the woman said she was choked. She has lacerations. But there's something fishy about the story. If he did it, he should certainly be arrested and prosecuted, and make sure that he receives the appropriate penalty for it. But there is some fishy stuff about it. He's the
Right.
one.
That's what I'm seeing right now.
He's the one who called 911 and reported that his girlfriend was having some type of emotional episode, and the person in the car, the driver for the car, reported that she was the one who assaulted him. And his attorneys are coming out saying that they have proof, video proof, and eyewitnesses to indicate that he's completely innocent. And I hope so. But if you aren't, you should go to jail. I just want to make that perfectly clear out there. But as you read that story now, because I know it's news to you, Aisha, what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I'm just trying to see what she looks like. Cause
I
see,
don't know.
my immediate thoughts are
Don't go there.
I got to, Harrison. I got to do it. I got to do it. Because so far all I'm seeing is white women.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not
I don't
sure.
know anything about
I'm
Jonathan.
not sure if she's the woman. But
I don't know. All I know is I'm happy for the brother. And he seemed to have paired up with the other guy from Creed. Forgot his name. And
you talking about Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah,
How you
and
forget
so
Michael B. Jordan?
I'm happy for him. He was doing well, has a lot of good projects. He's
Yes.
in a commercial for the Army. They have since suspended that commercial. And I'm just like, damn.
I was happy for him too, because let me say, as attractive as his body may be to me, I don't think he's a great actor. He always sounds and has this kind of runaway slave look on his face. And I mean, so now you're gonna see, you're gonna be like, oh, he does look like lost and bewildered at all times.
Some criticism out there from before this weekend were saying that he was one-dimensional.
You know what? That's a much better way to put it.
I read that.
And this is me not having read all of that. I've seen him in many things, and he plays big, burly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
guy.
Yeah.
It's the big, burly black guy.
Stand-up type of guy, except in
Mhm.
Creed, is what I understand.
And see, I haven't seen any of the Creeds, so I couldn't or have no interest in catching up to see it. But was that supposed to be his breakout? Did you say he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp too?
All of them at the same time, the same
Okay.
season. So all of that came out the same time. So there was a lot of exposure for him.
hmm So I'm hearing that he called the police as if anybody would call the police on themselves after assaulting someone,
I was
and
thinking the same thing.
they arrested him
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
and everybody who's there except said woman who was allegedly assaulted is saying that's not what happened.
She has since recanted also.
Oh, she finna get it now.
So Sunday, after the arrest and the arraignment, and then he let him go, and he was charged. He has several charges. She has
Mm-mm.
since recanted her story.
So I hope he doesn't stay with her. It's a very toxic.
So that
situation
leads
to be
me,
in.
that story, into my hot topic tonight. Because it reminded me of some clients that I had. If it's true, if my theory is true, I can be completely wrong. He hit her, he choked her, he slapped her, and if he did that, he should go to jail. But
Mhm.
there is a side of me that is really wondering what really happened based on those details that we recently got. But that's the hot topic for tonight: toxic and unhealthy relationships. I don't know Jonathan Majors. I'm happy for the brother, but when I look at him, I'm not sensing that hostile spirit.
Well,
That
and some of his recent magazine things may be the thing that keeps you from thinking that
true,
because you know he had on all that pink and those very
flamboyant.
sensitive is what I'll say sensitive poses, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
talked a lot about things he's told his daughter. He's like a champion for women, and I have my own daughter, and I
yep,
wear
yep,
pink.
yep. Yeah, I think all of that was orchestrated, by the way. I think all that was planned, the pictures, everything, all of that,
Yeah,
and
to soften his image.
it's,
It's
yes, it's
smart.
PR, so, but you could be right, because I don't know him. I didn't even know you had a daughter. I don't know anything about him. But I do want to talk about people in relationships where things have become toxic
Mhm.
and unhealthy. And so this reminds me of a client from years ago, like 12, 13 years ago, married black couple, early 30s. They had a little kid, a little toddler. The husband was a teacher. The wife, I believe, was a nurse. And I just remembered how she treated him, and accused him of outrageous things. And she was always falling apart emotionally, even on her job. And he was always running to her rescue
Mhm.
and trying to make her feel better and fix her, is what he was trying to do. But in the end, it almost broke him to do that. And I had to tell him some things I heard Tabitha Brown talk about more
I
recently.
love Tabitha Brown.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon him, and she says some people are just broken.
Mhm.
You didn't break them, but if you're going to try to fix them, you might end up breaking yourself. So I remember, and then he called me recently, the husband, to set up individual counseling because they're now divorced.
Okay.
And I knew they were headed that way. They stopped coming in for marriage counseling at the wife's request, because I kept pointing out some realities, some dynamics in the relationship. But listening to the story about Jonathan Majors reminded me of that couple, because he was so infuriated at certain times that he was feeling provoked by her.
Mhm.
And she admitted that she had grown up with some trauma, violent household, where she saw domestic violence, was the victim of physical abuse, as a kid. And she said she liked that. She
Oh.
wanted, no,
Oh, absolutely
she
not.
wanted her husband to respond to her anger and hostility with more anger and hostility.
That would have been enough for me to leave right
He
then.
he didn't. He did not. But what it did was push him to consider what she wanted. Self-preservation, just trying to save himself. But I'm glad he didn't. But all of that reminded me of that couple and many other individuals who are out there in unhealthy, toxic relationships. It can be a romantic sexual relationship with a partner. It can be a friendship. It can be a coworker. So tonight, what I want us to talk about and hear from you, Aisha, about the signs when it's time
Oh,
for you to realize this shit is unhealthy.
yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
So that's like an age-old question because I think when it comes to me, some people may say that or me and let me take me out of it. No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
take
keep.
you.
I'm gonna stay. I could use a few I statements, but me and some women I know are good about leaving before it even gets to that point. And so then that turns into, oh, you won't even try. You leave
Mm,
too early. So
mm,
I think when it comes to signs, when you see small signs, and I like to say you're less than 3 months in, go
mm.
ahead and move on. And so there's one thing for somebody to scream and hit you, you let that go immediately. But the things that get people confused are, what if the person cusses at you for something that you feel is small?
Mm.
Like
What you
you didn't
didn't do.
uh, right. Like you didn't put the toilet seat down. So you gotta cuss somebody out for not putting the toilet seat down. Or you're on the phone with that guy. I know you say he's a friend, but y'all must be dating or y'all must have slept together. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Who's that old classmate of yours calling you? Oh, she must be hitting on you. You want to be with her. Yes. So, what I'm hearing from you, Dr. Aisha, is that sometimes those toxic people show you signs
Real early, real
real early.
early. And I know that awareness is key. So sometimes people show you signs and you tell them, look, that's not cool. You're not going to be able to talk to me that way. And they say, oh, I never considered that that was not healthy communication. I'll change. On the flip side, when they try to justify their actions, and yeah, I did this, but you did that. Well, you know what? This isn't gonna work because you don't want to change. Not saying you should change for me, but change for the better. You don't want to change for the better.
So, you
So
do a
move
good
on.
job, is what I'm hearing. You can identify it, you
I can.
recognize it early. But both of us have met people who
Yes.
were a little delayed. I'm being nice, but it's not funny. But it just takes them a while to
Yeah.
get to that point. So, what I want us to talk about first, let's first define and talk about what is a toxic, unhealthy
Hmm.
relationship.
Hmm.
I mean, there's some people I've talked to people they don't even realize it. It has become normalized to be blamed for things that they didn't do and to get cursed out about it, and so they sort of accept that person. That's just who they are. I mean, didn't we all grow up hearing terms like leave auntie or uncle so and so alone? You know how they are,
Right.
and so I believe some of that we were socialized
Hmm.
to, some of us, not everybody, to accept or just realize that's just who they are, and there's nothing you can do about it but remain in that relationship, just like a crazy aunt or uncle. And they still come around, they do the same thing, and everybody loves them,
Right.
and it's sort of
But then they
accepted.
get mad when you don't want to invite. Everybody else gets mad when you don't want to invite that auntie or uncle to your house when it's at your house because they're not going to bring that negativity into your home. Oh, that's your family. At the end of the
Yep,
day, that's still your brother.
yep, 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 yep.
Boundaries are important. And a lot of people are still having to learn boundaries after years and generations of blurring or ignoring boundaries.
Yes, it wasn't even a concept in some black communities 20, 30 years ago. Again, going back to how some of us were raised.
Hmm.
Give your aunt, give your uncle a hug. Don't be rude, don't make them mad. Or see what you made me do. Things like that, and that helps people to not acknowledge boundaries or
Hmm.
realize they even exist.
Well, and then the problem with that is when you let your kids see lack of boundaries in the family, they just take that into their relationships and
You
into
sure
their
do.
future families. And at some point, you have to be the one to stop the cycle. So it sounds like Jonathan might have been trying to stop something, and it
I
went
was
too
wondering that.
far. Because he is big and he's got some great muscles. And if somebody tried to hit him and he simply restrained them, it can come off as big aggressive black man
Yep.
assaulting somebody else.
Yep. And plus, as I see him, he looks very strong.
Oh, you got to be.
And just visualizing him striking a woman, I believe she would be injured a
Mhm.
great deal.
Well, I'm thinking even if I'm imagine I know how I have had to restrain clients before or even children. If you're holding somebody and even if you take the other hand and you're holding their hands and they're trying to get out
Yep.
and you're holding them tighter, chances are you might bruise them.
Yep. It
You're
happens.
just trying to hold them and keep them from moving.
Yeah. So, but we don't know what happened. Like I mentioned, I just see some fishiness in the
Mm,
story. But I do want to be very clear to our audience: if he did it, he should go to jail. But
yeah.
tonight it was just reminiscent of other clients and people who I know who are stuck in these unhappy, toxic, unhealthy relationships. So some things that you guys should certainly think about when you're in a relationship: is there a loss of respect,
Yeah.
trust, and
That's important.
affection?
Oh, I
I mean
like that.
that's
Say it one more time.
is,
Respect.
is there a loss of respect,
Mm-hmm.
trust, and affection?
Okay.
That's the key there. And trying to, I've had to convince people that that relationship was hurting them, regardless of how you feel about that man, that woman, that person. It is tearing you down.
Yeah.
People turning to drinking, doing things they have never done before, all because in this relationship they realize or they fail to realize that this person no longer respects them. You have no trust for them, and the affection ain't what it used to be, if it is there.
So, Harrison, my question for you is what would be some signs of lack of respect in the relationship early on?
So you mentioned one that I was going to talk about earlier.
Okay.
Couples, you get in arguments sometimes, you
Mhm.
have disagreements, and sometimes, depending on who they are, a person might get a little bit loud. But when they do that in public,
Oh, that's the one I hate.
in front
Hmm.
of people, and I'm talking about the kids and even beyond that, that is a clear sign of lack of respect. Like they don't give a damn whether or not they humiliate you about something silly. And then we have to talk about, was that infraction was it warranted, the reaction that you got? And many times talking to some friends and some clients, they say, no, you got cursed out in the middle of the grocery store
Ooh, that'd be the last time you talk to me.
because your phone rang and it was somebody that your wife didn't know. That's a clear sign of disrespect. And you know how some people cuss people out. I mean, they go there. They
Hmm.
they 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 go back to pre-Civil War and have some choice words. So that's a clear sign. That's something that I've talked about with people and how you treat each other in public in front of other people. It's one thing to get into an argument, a private argument, and some choice words are made, but you can still keep it private and work through it. But when they intentionally throw you under the bus or humiliate you in front of other people, that's a clear sign that person no longer has respect for you at
Okay.
all,
Yeah.
regardless of how you feel about them. And if it's repeated, that's just a sign of something they're going to do. Now they come make some justification for it. They blame the other person. Like, oh, so wait a minute. It's his fault that you cursed him out in the grocery store because his phone rang. Yeah, he know how I am. He knew I don't like that so and so. So those are signs, toxic tendencies is what I like to call them. Those are
Mm.
toxic tendencies I encourage people to think about.
Yeah, that's an outright one. I can give you one that a lot of women get more often is when it comes to boundaries. Have heard a lot of women talk about how their partners may be like public displays of affection, and they say, there's a line there in public. Don't feel on me in public. You're not gonna make out with me in public. And I've seen women tell a guy to stop, and the next thing he's trying to grab her head and put his tongue out down the throat. He's gonna feel
Wow.
on her in public anyway. And you ask a guy about that, he's like, I just, I'm attracted to you. Don't you want me to be attracted to you?
Make
You
her
don't
feel
like
bad for
me.
saying no.
I can't touch you. You don't even want me to touch you. You must not like me anymore. It's
Mm.
like, it's not that. I'm just asking you to respect me in public. Or your other people's kids are around. Respect me in front of other people's kids.
Honor her wishes. Honor your
Yeah.
partner's wishes. When they say no means no, but he's teaching her and their kids, no don't really mean no. So
Or
that you
even if she's saying maybe later, but not right now, respect people's boundaries. And anybody who's not respecting your boundaries early on is gonna just get
it's
worse.
going to continue because it sounds like that person has done it before and they know
Hmm.
they can get away with it. So they
Yeah.
will push your boundaries. That's
Yeah.
what's something else on my list. And so that also leads me into a great deal of selfishness
Oh, that
because
word right there.
I mean that's a deal breaker. But just that one example you just gave us, it was all about him and what he wanted. He wanted that type of physical
Hmm.
gratification when he wanted it. Although she said no, not in public or I'm busy or something like that. It was
Or,
all about
we're
him.
heading home anyway. Just wait. No, I won't touch you right now.
No, but I
I've
want it.
seen a
That's
lot.
that's that's
Hmm.
that selfishness that a lot of people fail to recognize.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it links back up to how they were raised and
Yes.
perhaps seeing someone who was selfish and how other people responded to them. They gave in, to their selfishness. And now you marry somebody or you get with somebody who is just like that. So that's one that I have for you guys. Do you have another sign?
um, Let me see. You said respect, trust, and affection. Trust, that's a big one. Anyone who so it goes two ways, especially when we're talking about cell phones. If you're always trying to turn your phone to the side, it's like what you're trying to hide.
Yeah.
But also, if somebody's always trying to look over your shoulder to see what's in your phone,
Yep.
they have
Yep.
trust issues as well.
Yep. Yep. It's all this dynamic issue. I've been fascinated by the gymnastics that some of these couples I've talked to
Gymnastics.
to prevent somebody from seeing their phone, looking at their phone, try to hide their phone. And I'm like, well, you're in a relationship, you're married or you're engaged. That's what that last couple was.
Hmm.
What are you hiding? And, aren't you concerned about appearing suspicious?
Yeah.
So that makes her lose some trust in you when your phone rings. And she had a big deal about facing the phone down. I don't know why that's a big deal for some people. So you can't see who's calling when the phone rings. I said, why don't you just keep it in your damn pocket? Just keep the phone in your pocket. But there is this issue with trust and phones, and I've learned that's how a lot of people connect with a
Yeah.
lot of other people, either through the social maps, the social applications that are out there, and other ways to connect with
Yeah.
other people.
So
But
for me, being toxic is like a bacteria. It starts like a droplet and just continues to spread if you don't clean it up. Somebody does something you don't like, cut it off. Not cut the relationship off, but let them know from the beginning that you don't like that. If they do it again, okay, wipe it up again. But if they do it again and you let it go, you're just gonna let that spread because now they're moving on to step two of disrespect.
you
I
gave
got
them
away with
permission.
that. Right. I got away with that. Let me try to get away with the next thing.
Yeah, giving them permission is your fault, and is what I've told people. I know that's harsh, but just like you just said, if you let it go and that gives them a signal that they can try it again.
Hmm.
But that was a great analogy you said about toxic relationship. It is like a poison, and my daughter, she has a tree nut allergy. And
Hmm.
so when she eats something or even touches like peanuts, there's a reaction in her body. Her lips swell up, her mouth, and more severe issues, her tongue and her throat. But we have medication for EpiPens, and they have it at school. We carry them with us everywhere because the peanuts are toxic to her, and it makes her feel really bad. And it's a medical emergency too. So I try to tell people sometimes, you think about that. What is something that is making you respond in this uncomfortable way every time you're with that person and they make you feel bad, they make you feel hostile, or you have to defend yourself many times, And I also like to ask, why are you continuing going into spaces with them?
Hmm.
And I hear that they feel obligated.
Well, because a lot of people think that they are, like you said, obligated to react in a nice way or not be bothered by it because of what other people tell them. And I think your peanut allergy scenario is very similar in that peanuts may bother your daughter, but they might not bother me.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
somebody's telling you, oh, you should let that go. That's nothing. Let it roll off your back like a duck. You let it roll off your back. It's a problem for me. And I said, no.
Honor your own boundaries. That's what I'm hearing, regardless of how somebody else might feel about it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Of course, what I'm hearing from you, Dr. Aisha, is to try to work it out, let them know the first time it happens. But the question is, what do you do when you see them do it again?
Move
You
on.
tell that friend or partner, I don't like it when you did this. I felt this way about it and it didn't make me feel good. Could you not do that again? What should people do if it happens a couple of more times?
Definitely use the three strike rule. Move on. And for me, when it comes to relationships, when I end them, I've never ghosted anybody. I
I
love
have.
you have really.
It's liberating. I don't
I
have to tell you, Jack. I don't owe you nothing.
You're right. You absolutely don't. But I always like to give a reason, so
Yeah, I
there's
hear you.
no confusion. And I
You're so
always
nice.
tell I know, and I tell the people it's because I want you to be a better partner to the next person. So some of this is an issue for just me that one woman might not have an issue with, and some of this is just going to be an issue that's just you that you might want to look at changing for your next relationship. Like
Absolutely.
wash your hands, or
Wash your mouth.
you know keep your hair cut, or when somebody says no, no means no. That's not just for me, that's for all women. No means
Consent.
no. So please take that into your next relationship.
So the final point I wanted to make about this, this really came out of the Jonathan Majors incident. It's called "If That Person Brings Out the Worst in You."
Ooh.
Now, let me leave Jonathan Majors out of it because I don't know the situation. I'm only reading what the media is putting out there. But if you're around somebody who just make you feel like something that you're not, and they're
Mhm.
provoking, we were just talking about that side of you that you grew up in the neighborhood you grew up in, and you got to defend yourself. You've learned to be hostile because you got to match, the energy of the
Right.
people who are trying to take your lunch money. Oh, I just had a flashback. Uh, uh, if if they're triggering that aspect of you and who you are so that you don't feel like you can control it, that is the worst of you. And you've
Yeah.
lost the ability to manage it. And you might actually feel provoked and attack them either physically or verbally. That is a clear sign you need to get the hell out of there. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I love that because just recently, someone talked to me about walking away from a disengaging, just saying, "Look, I need a break. I'm going to disengage. I come back and talk about it later."
Yep.
People want to go, "Why would you walk away? You don't want to
Yep.
finish the conversation because
Yep.
Aisha 2003 would have karate chopped you in the throat or punched you in the nose." Or went up and down about how your mama ain't ish, your daddy ain't ish, you ain't never gonna be ish. So if I walk away, it's like you're welcome.
Yep. Yep. You retained your energy. You held on to it, as opposed to allowing the person to take you there. Now, whether or not they deserve it, that's another discussion.
Yeah, yeah,
But what I've told people is that perhaps you don't deserve to lose it in front of your colleagues, family, or friends, and that can affect your reputation. That's what
yeah,
you're losing because this other person isn't on your level.
yeah.
That's the aspect that I talk about with people, as I've seen it. I've seen it where people just get pushed. They snap. There's a TV show called Snap on Lifetime, I think it is. And people get pushed and so. But if they bring out the worst in you, make you feel like something that you're not, and even considering doing things that could harm you, your reputation, your career, your relationships, then it's time for you to walk away. I would rather you walk away, whether or not you want to give them some closure or not, that's up to you. But walk away instead of allowing them to get the best of you.
And the biggest red flag is when they won't let you walk away. when when you've broken up with somebody and they keep calling you and then you block them and then they email you and then you block them and then they Instagram message you, that's a problem. When you're having an argument with someone and you want to disengage and you walk away and they follow you, that's a problem. When you're talking to someone and you say, just give me a minute, I need to sit and I need to process, and they call you and they text you and they call you and they text you and they
And
send
the
you
question is, why wouldn't they give you that minute?
give me the minute so I don't slap you to sleep. It's
So,
like
so
it's a
slap
lot.
you into next week, So it sounds like you're saying that person is not going to give you the space
Yeah.
that you have requested so that you can calm down. Almost like they enjoy that type of engagement,
Okay.
And because it's normal for them. That's how their mama used to react to all her boyfriends, and she learned to do that. And so when the new dude comes along and he doesn't respond that way, it actually intensifies her anger and wondering, do you love me because you're not yelling at me and grabbing me like all the other dudes did? That's
Right.
called toxic,
Yes, it is.
unhealthy relationship. It can go either way, any gender that's
Mhm.
out there.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts about unhealthy, toxic relationships?
Yeah. My thought is with Jonathan Majors.
Mhm.
If you didn't do anything, if you did, I hope you go to jail and you get rehabilitated. But if you didn't, don't go back to whoever that is. Look, you were at the top. There are so many other women who want you, I guarantee.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
move on.
Isn't it peculiar that this happened right when he was rising and appearing in all of these successful movies?
That recanting is baby. I'm sorry. Baby, 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 baby. I'm
She
sorry. Let's work
recanted
it out.
after he was arrested,
Mm-mm.
after he called police, he called 911 and was arrested. And then she later recanted Sunday morning.
If she recanted because it didn't happen, or even if she recanted after it did happen, that's a blessing, sir. Take it and go wherever you need to with that.
So what I'm hearing from you is that some people walk into a toxic relationship.
Yep.
Yep, they are attracted to it.
And the
Somehow.
door is open. Say God open doors and windows, and you still won't go through the door.
Yep. So Jonathan Majors, yeah, I endorse what Dr. Aisha just said. If you did it, you should go to jail. I'm reading all the stuff about it, and I'm like, something ain't right. Something's not adding up. And then she recanted. Oh, he called the police. I've never heard of that part. When a couple arguing and it gets some shoving in
There's
somebody's
just
arm.
so many things. He
and
called the police. Somebody else said it didn't. That's not how it happened, and then she recanted. Like that's back to that 3. That's strike 3.
Yeah. So that's what made me wonder: was he in a toxic relationship? And he has indicated through his attorney that the young lady, his girlfriend, was having an emotional episode. It could be a lie, but I'm going with that to talk about this subject for other people who may find themselves in similar situations. Trying to save somebody, trying to help somebody, or feeling obligated, or perhaps that was normal for you and what you were taught. But if it doesn't make you feel good, there's no trust, there's no respect, and of course, no affection. We didn't talk about that. All of that is a clear sign. So I tell clients sometimes, the couples in premarital counseling, they're all happy. They love each other.
Yeah,
They're still in that
premarital
happy
counseling.
phase. I'm like, oh, that feels so good.
Just
at
can't wait to sleep together every night. And
every
share
day,
bills.
every day. Hallelujah. But we got to talk about at some point those boundaries
Mhm.
and those things that may happen in the future. And let's set up some expectations about everything. And then they get a funny look on their face when I say, well, what happens if he or she fails to meet your expectations on a consistent basis? Yes, let's talk about some deal breakers, about some things that could happen that would make you really severely become disappointed.
Yeah.
And think about the future of your relationship. They don't like talking about that stuff,
Mm-mm.
but it happens.
That's
And
just you being negative.
Yes. Oh, do we have to talk about that? Yeah, you're damn right. Because and sure enough, some of those couples have come back a year or two later, and they're having some severe issues as one of those infractions actually happens. So talk about that, in your relationships. Talk about those boundaries, like Dr. Aisha talked about. Talk about deal breakers. Talk about expectations. And more importantly, instead of listening to those words when somebody apologizes, why don't you watch their actions?
Yes, Lord.
Words are just words, but if they're going to pull you into a toxic situation, you need to be able to recognize it.
Yes.
Plan your exit. Dr. Aisha and I both are saying that, so you don't end up like Jonathan Majors, with somebody crazy having an episode, and then all of a sudden they're accusing you of domestic violence, and you're the one being successful, have a lot of great opportunities, a lot of blessings, and here it comes.
Okay, because from a spiritual standpoint, the devil gonna always try to get you at your height. You going up and up. He's gonna try to stop it.
Yep. Because I can imagine if he was really like that, we would have heard about this years ago when he was poor, before the HBO show.
Well, I don't know. It took a while for us to hear about Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. I take that back.
Correct.
We didn't. It didn't take us long to hear about R. Kelly. People just ignored that.
They did. They reported R. Kelly.
Right.
They didn't report Bill Cosby.
They didn't. Speaking of which, now I know we haven't talked about R. Kelly in a while, but
that's right.
Surviving R. Kelly 3 is coming out. Part 3 is coming out.
What more?
I don't know, but I gotta watch it, Harrison.
What channel? What station?
It's on Netflix. It's gonna be on Netflix. It's a Netflix special.
Because I don't know what more there is. That last one.
Well, I'll let you know. Because
I'm gonna find out as soon as it comes out. Very telling. The one with his brother. And it revealed a lot of his childhood trauma, and the sister. All of that was wow. Sort of explain why Robert Kelly was the way he was. So, okay, I got to look out for that. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. You've been listening to Two Therapists and a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Aisha Dickerson.
We will see you guys next week, Monday at 7:00 p.m. on the Our Black Media Network. You guys take care. See you next time.
like that.